Hey, Bob Nagy back here with another quick one for you. Are you into QRP? Well, a lot of us guys are, a lot of us guys aren't. This little radio, the QRP Labs QCX Mini, might convert you. It's only a 5-watt radio, QRP CW only. Doesn't sound exciting? Just give me a few minutes and let's see if I can change your mind on that. An amazing radio. So why is this radio interesting? It's a single band 5-watt CW radio, but it's $55. You can buy them for most all of the standard bands from QRP Labs. Not that exciting, right? But wait till I tell you what's in it. First of all, it's a very easy kit to build. And other than winding the toroids, maybe the most difficult part, the rest of it is really quick, and it goes together with the best instructions I have ever seen. It's got most all the stuff already mounted on the board, so you're just doing the whole through stuff, and it's a really fun build. The debugging and all that, everything is so well worked out in the instructions. It's got 16 memories for your favorite frequencies. It's got CW memory, so you can put your CQ and stuff in there for contesting. It's got a CW decoder that's really, really good. It's DSP based. It's got a really nice clean signal out with a 7-element low-pass filter. It's got CW envelope shaping, so the CW rise time and all that is really optimized, and 50 dB of sideband suppression. And they even ship with it a little SSB conversion board that's an aftermarket type of thing. You might look into the group that's doing that to add SSB to it. It's got 200 cycle CW filter, 200 hertz, no ringing. It's really good. And all of your keys are support iambic, straight, all that kind of stuff. It has an adjustable S meter. It has an adjustable battery meter. It runs on 7 to 16 volts, and that will vary the output power 5 watts up and down a little bit. I'm running it on 16.8. It's got a real-time clock. It's got semi-break-in or full break-in QSK on CW. It's got CAT control. It has built-in alignment tools. That includes a signal generator, frequency counter, voltmeter, RF output power meter, all built into the unit for you to use aligning it or for you to use just whenever you want to use them. Tons of customizability via the menus, which I'm going to show you. The design uses an elegant quadrature receiver and a Class E transmitter amplifier offering 80% efficiency, so overall current drain is super low on your batteries. And it also operates as a beacon, a CW or FSK CW or a whisper beacon, and it's a little bit more rudimentary than their other ones that they sell from QRP Labs, but it certainly does work. The options on it are a GPS board. That's when you want to have the whisper beacon. You might want to add that. You don't have to have it. A TCXO temperature-controlled crystal oven if you want to really lock down the frequency. These are very inexpensive. And an optional AGC board, which is inexpensive and does work as well. As I'm going to mention later, there is a 50-watt amp for this. And again, the documentation is the best I have ever seen on a kit. The main circuit board comes somewhat completed because all of the surface mount stuff is already on the board. You're just adding capacitors and a few parts and the final transistors and also winding these toroids. I do want to suggest that keep your windings spaced out evenly. Don't bunch them up. And the main processor chip you're going to push into the socket. The I/O connectors you're also going to be soldering into the board, power, and these little connectors that go in between the circuit boards. And you can see on this board that it has the 2 internal add-ons. This is the AGC board here with a little adjuster, and here is the temperature-controlled oven for frequency control right here. Mount quite easily onto the board. You can see on the main circuit board's rear, all of the surface mount stuff is already pre-attached for you, so you don't have to do anything there whatsoever. You're just attaching the larger items. For the front 2 controls, they do have you put the controls into the board, and these little push-button switches, which are a control switch over here, a little connector, and your mounting strut with a spacer. You can see there's these little jumpers required over here on this one. And this one here, and you can just use the little cut-off pieces of wire as you make the thing. They tell you exactly how to do it. The third board here, which is a display board, really comes completely prefabricated, and you just have to mount it onto a circuit board. This piece here actually is the board that a lot of these other pieces punch out of. Like this board was in here, and you just break it out of there, and included in this is the sideband upgrade board as well, which is a sort of third-party project that people are working on. But they do provide the little circuit board for that if you want to keep moving on and make this into a sideband radio. The QCX has memories, regular channel memories, and when you hold in the menu button here, go to preset. Of course, you can just go through the different categories of your menu here, but you go to preset and hit it again, and there's our presets. Wow, so basically preset is a memory. On the messages menu, we go into it and we have the interval over which the messages will be sent. This can be set up as a beacon, a CW beacon, and of course whisper beacon, but how many times the message repeats. Here's the message. We have all of our CW messages in here, and we can of course do the standard one, CQ and such like that. So you can have this as a beacon, or you can just use these CW memories for your standard stuff, QRL, CQ, that kind of thing. Next selection in the menu is VFO. We go into there, and first one here is about how you want the display to be. Display your VFO A or B. Of course, we have two VFOs. Of course, we have. Or you want split, where you see both of the VFOs at the same time. I'm just going to have A there. There's our A VFO frequency, our B VFO frequency. There's the default tuning rate. We have RIT. Of course, we have RIT. And how fine do you want the RIT to be? 10 hertz, or want it coarser or finer. We can do the CW reverse, through the carrier on the other side. We've got CW offset over here, so that really is the frequency. And we're back to the top. On your keyer menu selection, you've got all the standard key selections there. We can go ahead and change from iambic A to B, ultimatic. That's sort of interesting. It's sort of some kind of autocomplete type of thing. You might read the docs on that, but I sort of played with it. I didn't favor it, so I put it back on regular iambic A for me, or you can put a straight key into the thing. When we move into the other selections on the keyer sub-menu group in the menus, you got the keyer speed. Well, that's pretty obvious. That's also accessible from the top immediately, so you can constantly change that. You do want to match that to your incoming CW for best decoding. We can swap or invert which are the dots and the dashes on your paddles. Keyer weighting, that's the, normally the default is what everybody likes for dash to dit ratio, but I like them a little more lopsided, so you can adjust that where you want your dits to be a little bit faster than they should be. Auto spacing, that's where it uses the computer in there to space things out and make it nicer. Semi-QSK, wow, well, it has break-in basically, or not break-in. You can turn this on, which I like, and then it has a hang time like a semi-break-in. Practice is where you turn the transmitter off and you can just make noise. There's the side tone frequency, 660. Adjustable side tone volume, of course. And 410 is the straight mode. And in the straight mode adjustment, you can decide whether you want the ring or tip to be the keying line on the little plug, little stereo plug, or both of them, whatever works for you there. On our decoder subgroup in the menu here, they threw the noise blanker adjustment in here, so there you go. Yeah, we have noise blanker adjustment on this radio. Speed average, now these have to do with the decoder's parameters. This is sort of a thing that dictates weighting of dits to dashes and how the decoder looks at it, and the default value really works well. I wouldn't mess with this unless you're having trouble. Amplitude average is the same type of thing. These are all, this is to fine-tune the decoder. The default works great. Enable the decoder during receive. Yeah, if you want to see the decoded stuff, you turn it on there. Maybe you hotshot guys don't want to see that. Now, do you want to see your own stuff decoded as you're transmitting? Maybe you do. I have it on. Here's a cool one. Enable edit. This means that if you're filling in blanks, like you're filling in the CW memories or something like that, you can transmit them in using the paddles instead of trying to do it manually. So with the rotaries here. So that's just sort of a nice thing. And VA is a sort of an esoteric thing. SK, sometimes people use VA in certain countries, and it's going to decide whether to decode SK as VA or SK when it displays it on the screen. In our number 6 beacon subgroup on the menu here, this has to do with this unit operating as a whisper beacon, weak signal propagation beacon. Now they have their fancy deluxe 3S or 4S, whichever, their dedicated whisper and other digital modes beacon units, but they threw that in on this one as well. And basically you can turn it on and you can set the parameters for it, frequency and such. These are all parameters for the whisper thing, your call letters, your locator grid, power that you're sending. These are encoded in the whisper packet sent out, the time. But the thing is that they also offer a relatively inexpensive GPS receiver board that can send this thing all the critical stuff, the real time and all the stuff for the whisper beacon. So it makes it more convenient. If this was maybe at one fixed location, you ran it for a little while, you could set the internal stuff like the time and things, and it would hold it adequately. But you really want to have that timing framing correct for a dedicated whisper transmitter. So if you were to use this as that, you'd want to add that little GPS option. The last selection on the menu subgroups is Other, and they throw a bunch of stuff in there. The double-click speed. So some of these buttons, say on the right here, when you push it in twice fast, it selects a different function. And so, how fast do you want to have to push it to make it acknowledge it as a double-click? You want the battery display on? I certainly do. And then I'm running 4 lithium batteries for a total of 16.8 volts when fully charged. So I have set it up for a 16 volt LiPo pack over here, and I found that this voltage works for me quite well. And a step, there's about 7 gradations in the battery display. A step of 0.3 volts lands up that when I'm at the bottom step, I'm at about 30% battery capacity, which is where I want to recharge. You want the cursor to blink? Okay. S meter, you want to see that? I do. And you get to calibrate the S meter. How about that? I have mine where, if it starts to deflect, I'm getting about a 5.7. You want a custom splash screen on when you turn the unit on that has your calls and your email or whatever? You can do that. And those are the last 2 CW memories. You fill those in with that information. You want to see the clock and the delimiter here. This is whether you want on the frequency the dot to be a comma or a period. How about the backlight? You're running low on batteries and you want to make those last few contacts, you can turn the backlight off. An AGC is an optional board in there. It's sort of a rudimentary implementation, and it's inexpensive and it's worth getting. It does keep those super loud signals from blasting your ears out. And of course the last one here is factory reset. Are you sure? You can just put it back to the factory settings. Now, past the normal stuff on the menu, you're going to come over to the thing that you're going to use when you first set the thing up, like alignment. That's past Other over here. If we go in there, they're going to walk you through the alignment using the internal test facilities inside this. And it's a lot of fun peeking this little baby up, nulling it out, and peeking it up. And if you've got the TCXO temperature-controlled oscillator board in there, you're going to change the reference frequency, things like that. And so then you go into your calibrations here and you push the buttons and you start tweaking and peeking in there, and it is a lot of fun to really get it just perfect. Number nine on here is the test equipment. Can you believe that this is built into this little radio for you to use and when you're setting everything up over here? Got your voltage coming in. Okay, RF power. It's got an RF power meter when you transmit it. You can check that out. A couple of audio channels. You've got frequency for signal generators here. The thing is a lot to it, and it has a little bit of a rudimentary frequency counter in there too. So these are things that could be done using that PIC microprocessor, and they implemented them. The last thing you're going to find on the menu is save settings. So when you got everything like you like it, you go, that, and you save the settings, and it just puts them in there. See, there's my my battery display over there. So every time we press the little button over here, it moves the tuning increment. There we go, from 1 kilohertz, half a kilohertz, 100 hertz, 10 hertz. Want to change the speed? You just press it once over here. These are all handy dandy marked over here so you can tell what you get into. A long hold gets you into the menus. And pretty much all the normal stuff you need is right on top. I mean, this radio is really, really well thought out. I always want to see if it's active. I go up to the FT8 area there, and I'm going to say, oh, my antenna's working, because this is a very quiet receiver. It's not as sensitive as a big rig on the you're paying $1,000 for, but it's adequate. And it's got a very low noise floor because it's not quite as sensitive. But I'm going to tell you, I got this on my hex beam out there. I'm cheating a little bit, but everybody I called came back to me, and I was either the same RST as them or as one number less. Really clean transmit signal too. So there you go. I always look for the most bang for the buck. What's the most joy you can get out of a certain amount of money spent? You really can't beat the QCX Mini. I haven't turned on my IC 7851 for a week. I've been on this thing over here on the QRP frequency 14060. And this 7851, that costs 245 times as much as this radio. Did I say that number right? 245 times. That's crazy. So go out, take a look at QRP Labs. They've got a bunch of other really fun kits out there. Building experience is fun. Their documentation is awesome. And really, boy, bang for the buck. They've got it down. So next time, see ya.